All right, hello again. This is Ben Hitchcock Cross talking to you today. We've got Debbie Kuether here too. We're going to get right into this is the second set of testimony here, part two, but I think it's really part four for our purposes. And just to recap, we've got this is Commissioner Edwards is fighting to keep his job here from Milwaukee County. He is the deputy court commissioner for family under a specific area here and
Family court.
family court. And he's not alleging discrimination, although that might be part of what his argument is. He's alleging that they didn't have just cause to terminate. So
Yes, that's
just keep
right.
keep that in mind, which is the same. Uh, Actually, it's a pretty higher standard than most. That is a much higher standard, and certainly different than discrimination, and usually a lot easier to prove. So the big problem then is even with a standard like that, it's the commission and the commissioners as it's set up, soon to be just pathologically biased against the employees here. But hey,
Yeah.
we'll keep
And
going.
and what we saw in the first three parts was we saw the HR person giving testimony, but now we're going to get ready to hear from a main player, which is David Pruse, which sounds like cruise sometimes, but it's Peruse with a P. And he is a main player in this. He's a decision maker
He's
in
he's
this.
the
So,
right. And it's not clear if he's the immediate supervisor or not, just because of the way the rules go. But they're treating him as if he's the supervisor for at least some of it. The HR person was testifying as if he was the supervisor.
right. And those ambiguous rules will always be used in the employer's favor whenever they want to flip flop what it means. Right. So nobody can really name what the hierarchy is as we go through this. We'll see that. But
Right, but
those are things to
it's
watch for.
important that he's not. They keep insinuating that he's disrespecting the hierarchy, but not able to accurately state what it is.
Right.
Right. All right, I'm gonna hit play here just cause. I think it'll take him a few minutes to get it going anyway. All right. So Peggy Schneider, Phoebe Williams, and Greg Renz, those are both
I
commissioners.
have 10:30. I only don't
He's
see
the clerk
Peggy.
of the
Peggy, are you on?
commission, and Alicia Terry is the
Oh, you're
assistant
on
to
mute.
the clerk.
Okay.
William Sultan is the attorney in the tie at the
Right.
bottom
All
center,
right.
and his
So
client, the
all three
commissioner,
board members are back. We're good to go.
All right, thank you.
is in the what
Florence,
goldenrod
do you have any more
sweater.
words?
Yeah, like mustardy
Yes,
kind of
thank you,
Yeah.
Chairman
sweater.
Williams. The county would like to call David Pruse.
Good morning, Mr. Pruse.
Yeah, let's see his face there. All right.
Good morning.
Please raise your right hand.
It's
Do you swear or affirm that
PRUHS.
the testimony you're going to give in this
Yes.
matter today is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
God bless
I do.
Wisconsin.
Please state and spell your name for our record.
David Ruiz, David, P as in Paul, Ruhs.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Pruse. Where are you currently employed?
I am employed by Milwaukee County.
And what is your current title?
I am the Family Court Commissioner for the County of Milwaukee.
Can you give us a brief description of what the Family Court Commission is and what it does?
Certainly. Family Court in Milwaukee County is a conglomeration of 5 judge courts and 11 commissioners. The judges handle trials, a number of other motions per statutes and local rules. Most cases filed in Milwaukee County and family courts start before the commissioner's office and then move on to the judge's office, the judges for review or for trial. Any decision made by a family court commissioner is subject to de novo review before a judge by statute.
Let's pause that
We
right
here in
there,
the FC.
and I can do that. Okay, I didn't quite get that until now, and listeners on the last 3 sections, I think this is important to understand. The court commissioners are basically magistrate judges in this situation. And I don't know why there's a different term for family court commissioners, but because there's circuit court magistrates as well. But a magistrate judge is essentially a helper judge. It's not supposed to be a dis. There's only so many slots that are put in there by the statute or the commission. So what he said is that there's three circuit court judges, fully elected judges, and then there's five people that are assistant, five commissioners that are assistant. And in Wisconsin, to be a commissioner, you have to have there means that there's a commission. In other words, which is like an assignment or duty assigned to a position. And a lot of these titles don't really mean, as opposed to office or officer or whatever. But somebody who's in charge of an office would be an officer. Somebody who's in charge of a commission would be a commissioner. Just to keep that clear, right? So that's also going to be why that these commissioners are not just regular employees. That's the key thing. They've got both statutory powers, meaning they can put you in jail, and
Yes.
they also, because they have that authority, they also have statutory protections because we don't want people, like, let's just say the chief judge is mad, it doesn't want, let's say the chief judge's son, maybe it's too close to home, I don't know, goes in front of one of these commissioners. You want the commissioner to have insulation from making his decision because he's not an elected judge. He's still some sort of, but he's still a judicial officer in this sense, right? So that's why I'm going to assume that there's laws in place here that are going to protect this person's position from sort of outside interference.
Well, and remember, we learned this in the last testimony, because William asked a really good question about this. They get renewed every year.
Right.
So, that's kind of how they get rid of them. You don't get renewed.
Oh yeah, it's
But,
like a teacher. Right.
we'll learn more about that. Yeah.
Okay, but that's the whole point there is the same with the teacher is the teacher is effectively insulated, unlike every other employee, throughout that year. Now, it's not as great
Right.
as throughout life, but it certainly is better than nothing. So that person's got effective something that an attorney can argue with.
Yeah, there's a contractual element there.
Well, and a statutory element too, I'd think. Yeah.
DC handle about
Well, let's find
30,000
out.
cases a year.
And you said you are the
Sorry, and I know I'm not, but do we believe, Debbie, that this David Cruz guy is a court commissioner and he's putting kids in jail?
Not the kids, but perhaps the parents. You'll hear more about there is an issue specific to this case about warrants.
Got it.
And so we'll hear more about that.
I've heard that happen
And
before.
yeah, but did he just say though 30,000 cases a year?
I heard that, yeah.
That's okay.
Well, those could be restrained. Okay, but so this is, to be clear, this is not the child court. This is just the family court, whatever that means.
Right. Probably he means transactions with a file number on it.
Yep.
Processing, because
Oh yeah, they're not talking about whatever. Yeah.
commissioner of the Family Court Commission. Is that right?
I am the family court commissioner. Yes, there are.
Can you give us a brief description of your duties as Family Court Commissioner?
I oversee all of the court calendaring and hearings for 9 court calendars. I have courts that include paternity courts, domestic violence, harassment courts, pre-judgment, post-judgment, and stipulated divorces. There are 10 commissioners who report to me, and I have a staff of 7 that also for which I'm responsible for all their related issues, the policy, the procedure, job assignments, time card entries,
Okay.
Judicial education, paid time off requests. I'm also the head of the Family Court Mediation Services, and that provides mediation and custody services to litigants. I coordinate and maintain guardian ad litem lists and appointments. I keep statistics on all the court. But this is not a closed operation by any stretch of the imagination. It's an operation that requires extensive cooperation with the clerk of courts, as they have multiple DCCs that are here in our 7th floor area, are assigned to each of those courts. We coordinate with child support services, as about half of our calendar is child support related, and they pay 54% of our budget. We coordinate with the Sheriff's Department for security, warrant withdrawals, with Sojourner Family Peace Center on the domestic violence and harassment side. They have space here that's actually inside of our suite on the 7th floor.
That's what they're on the
And we
7th floor.
coordinate
Okay.
with the judges, the Milwaukee Justice Center, who assists pro se filers in producing paperwork to be filed.
So, two things I can add to this. Number one, never believe anything until it's officially denied by the government, right? So he's saying right there that we're not a entity unto ourselves. We have to work with all these other people. Okay? That's my understanding of the 7th floor is that they are a world unto themselves. And I just remember, I mean, it's like a whole.
That's a big part of the argument here.
I've heard that so many times just being in the courthouse. And the other thing that's the case is that we're talking family court and this and that, that none of that rang a bell. We sat here almost for 2 hours now. The moment they said 7th floor, it all kicked. And I'll tell you, you're on an elevator in the Milwaukee County Courthouse. You put 7th floor, and the bailiff who's in the room with you will pat you on the back and say, "Son, it's going to be all right." That means he thinks you're getting a divorce.
We produce, we work with facilities. We've moved 4 times in the past 2 years. So it's a fairly extensive operation.
How long have you been the commissioner for family court?
Since June of 2023.
Can you describe the hierarchy or reporting structure for the family court commission?
Yes, I am the head of the department. And then there is a deputy family court commissioner, at this time, Commissioner Edwards. And then there are 9 assistant family court commissioners who each have an assigned court calendar every day. The deputy family court commissioner does not have an assigned court calendar. He'll fill in occasionally in court, but does not have an actual calendar assigned to him.
Commissioner Cruz, have you held any other role other than commissioner in the family court commission?
Other than the family court commissioner? Yes, I've been here almost 24 years, and I was an assistant family court commissioner until February of 2016, at which time I became the deputy family court commissioner, and am now the family court commissioner.
And when were you promoted to family court commissioner?
In June of 2023.
Okay.
So,
and when you were promoted to family court commissioner, that left a vacancy at deputy, correct?
Who promoted
yes,
him?
Right. Who
Yes.
filled that vacancy?
And that was filled by Commissioner Edwards.
Promoted Edwards.
Can you provide an overview, or can you tell us what the duties of the deputy family court commissioner are?
Yes. As I said, the 9 assistant family court commissioners all have their own assigned calendar on a daily basis. They're essentially required to be in court from 8 to 5 for the most part. The deputy family court commissioner does not have an assigned court calendar. He fills in occasionally in court once or twice a week would be an accurate assessment. His primary role is to take on assignments that are provided by the FCC. The JEQ for that position is essentially one sentence, and it describes conduct some court hearings, assist the FCC, and act in my absence. And that's pretty much the entirety of the
This guy is
JEQ
making arguments here.
position.
Thank you.
He is. He's saying that
Was
this guy doesn't
Commissioner
do anything.
Edwards employed by the FCC prior to being promoted to deputy?
He was an assistant family court commissioner as of February of 2018 for Milwaukee County.
So what I'm
And
saying
so
with
he was
that there
promoted
is he's
to deputy court commissioner in June of 2023. Is that right?
In June of 2023.
he's
June
not
5th,
just saying what he
2023.
saw and what he heard
When he was
personally.
promoted in
He's
June
adding argument and
2023,
trying to lay the foundation.
what
'cause he's
tasks
too personally
did you
invested.
assign him?
When he was promoted to the Deputy Family Court Commissioner in 2023, um, in deference to his new position and my desire to see how he would take on tasks that were assigned to him, um, I assigned him 4 ongoing tasks: to maintain the calendar of events, to review and sign e-filed stipulations, and to attend a monthly security meeting. And then as well, given that most of our commissioners were remote at the time, I assigned him the task of assisting me with restraining orders,
Is
e-filed restraining orders.
is that more
He
work
took
or
on
less
those
work?
4 tasks.
It's
Yes,
more things than he
that's what I
said
said.
earlier,
Uh-huh.
Okay. I'd like to walk
that
through
he
those with
used
you
to
if I
do in the
could.
position.
Can you tell us what is involved in taking on the e-filed stipulations?
The e-filed stipulations are stipulations that are filed by generally attorneys, because became mandatory e-filers in family court in 2020. They are for attorneys in family court. They are agreements that have been submitted by parties in the hope of being approved by the court, such that they will have their hearing canceled or their case will have a little bit more structure to it.
Um, are these e-filings urgent matters?
They can be, yes. They can be for purposes of the court if there are court hearings scheduled that are coming up and requests have been made to have the stipulation reviewed and then to have the court hearing taken off. They can also be considered urgent in the sense that people need some structure in their lives, and that's why they've made these agreements and have submitted them. So they're looking for a relatively quick turnaround in that sense.
Is there a time frame in which these e-stipulations are required to be addressed?
The specific time frame is only that the Supreme Court requires that any order that a commissioner has on his or her judicial dashboard needs to be uh, done within 30 days. We also have paper filing stipulations. In 2024, we did 1,040 paper stips, and there were 229 e-filed stips in 2024. The paper stips, the guideline in our procedure manual says that it's 2 to 3 weeks. They're generally out within a couple of days. So there's no specific requirement that e-filed stips be addressed in any particular frame other than the 30 days, but the expectation is that they be done quickly for purposes of serving the public properly.
And was Commissioner Edwards shown how to complete the e-filing tasks?
He had addressed stipulations as a family court as an assistant family court commissioner when he was assigned that the tasks of reviewing those. I don't recall, other than discussing with him, that he would be the one to whom those stipulations would be addressed. Judicial officials are regularly reviewing stipulations that are submitted before them, and I don't know that there was any particular training given to him on how to address e-filed stipulations.
Okay. So this was something you expected him to know how to do?
Sorry, this is something that I've been noticing here, Debbie, and tell me what you think. Um, I'm getting a mix from him of bureaucratic inertia and rule. And he keeps going back and forth to sort of what he was trained to do by his predecessor. That's what I mean by bureaucratic inertia. Something that he's just doing because that's the way that things are done. We typically, if it was Maria Seltzer speaking, she would say, we typically do this, right? And
And yeah, go ahead.
but he's also mixing in just enough law or citations to the Supreme Court or whatever that it seems like he's everything that he's saying is backed up by a law or a rule. And I'm getting the impression that it's not.
Well, this is the crux of this whole thing. And in a lot of these government entities that you have these factions going on. So you're right. Like he's part of we always did it this way. And so, and then he's trying to say we're serving the public
Right.
as his motivating reasoning for decision making, but really when you see more of this played out, he's actually just wanting to stick with the status quo, which was being pointed out was not effective. So you have groups of judges that are not on the status quo way of doing things, that really wasn't serving the public. And then you have the other side. And he is, you're right, that's exactly what he's doing. He wants the status quo and he doesn't want to hear about any changes. And so he is trying to make a rationale for why he did things. And I didn't find that it held any water at all. And and others will see when we go on.
Fair enough. Debbie, I gotta make a clear point here. It sounds like we're getting into decisions by circuit court judges in Milwaukee County. I gotta tell everybody that I practice here, that I vote for these judges, and that like I know these judges, and that you should probably assume that I'm gonna be holding back just naturally, even without subconsciously, even without thinking about it. Okay? That's one thing to keep in mind. Something else here is that deliberate indifference has really been committed to being against this concept of bureaucratic inertia, and that it's really important here that I went to a college that was really snooty and into reading original sources. And that's something that's stuck with me the whole time, both the snootiness and the original sources. And when we came, that's one of the things that we were doing with this channel here is bringing out original sources and then showing, what the rules are. And when you come into place and you're like, I'm I'm in a law enforcement governmental position, but you're not really actually reading the rules. You're reading what somebody told you that the rules said that they say. That's dangerous. And just to me, the one red flag that really pointed things that was saying that people make stipulations for their convenience and to sort of structure their lives out, I think was the word that he was. And that's just not my understanding of what a stipulation is that when two parties agree on some things and disagree on other things, that they are encouraged to lock in those agreements by stipulation so that that everybody has a more efficient time. That's what I get the concept of that. And maybe that's similar to what he's saying, but I didn't hear the same thing there. Okay. Debbie, did I cut you off?
Nope, we can keep rolling.
Yes, or to ask if there was some reason he didn't, but he had been in AFCC for 5 years at that point, almost 5 years, more than
Okay.
5 years.
How long was Commissioner Edwards assigned to review the e-filed stipulations for FCC?
So we didn't train him because he should have already
That
been trained?
assignment was made shortly after he
Exactly.
became the
And
DFCC,
remember, this was in that finding they
and
had.
he maintained that through August of 2024.
So approximately about a year, is that right?
Yeah, a little more than a year.
Okay. Was he successful in reviewing the e-filed stipulations?
He was not, in the sense that it became an issue, the timeliness with which he addressed those stipulations.
Pay attention to that. That's not true.
The counts, the idea that they be done within 30 days was not something he met on every occasion. And it was problematic such that ultimately it was addressed as part of corrective discipline and as part of me telling him, please move these more quickly.
So you're saying the expectation was that they be done more expeditiously than the 30 days, but he was struggling even to meet the 30 days. Is that accurate?
Yes, that's accurate.
Okay.
My red flag question on that is going to
Did
be, did
you
anybody
consider
put
any
anything in
additional
his way?
training that might have helped Commissioner Edwards successfully manage these in a more timely manner?
I didn't consider more training in terms of requesting that he perform the task more timely. I did take on regularly tasks that he was
Right.
assigned to do to give him more time to complete things that he needed to complete. In
Okay.
particular, he filed STIPs and the calendar of events.
Okay. So at some point you took some of those assignments back from him. Is that accurate? Is that what you're saying?
As of November of 2023, for instance, we were to share the restraining orders equally,
So
50-50.
okay. You're talking about restraining orders. That was one of the four assignments you gave him. Can you tell us what
Right.
the restraining orders involve?
Those are e-filed requests by litigants on an ex parte basis to have a restraining order issued and an injunction hearing held for purposes of requesting a longer term injunction. Generally, the restraining orders are reviewed, and then a date approximately 2 weeks out is set for that injunction hearing, at which time there's an evidentiary hearing that addresses the issues raised in the TRO.
Well, what's the
So you're
standard?
saying that, I'm sorry, please continue.
Oh, no
I didn't
problem.
mean to
So if
interrupt.
you're going to
So
say
there are
that
multiple
somebody is
TROs filed daily. You're
failing a
essentially
standard, you need to tell
wedded
us what
to
the
your
standard is.
computer for periods
And
of the
you
day
should have
because
some
you are
evidence
addressing
too.
these, and you have to move through them very meticulously.
And you say that you assigned Commissioner Edwards to share that responsibility with you.
We
Did that
were
work out?
Well, it did in the sense that we both continued to do them, but in terms of um, timeliness of the e-filed STIPs, when he would have things that he needed to accomplish, I would often step in and offer to take over his responsibility for the TROs, to the point where in 2024, um, there were 6,600 of them filed. I ended up doing 4,400 of them. He did about 1,800. He was off for a period of time during that year, but that's indicative of my covering more than he did to give him time.
Understood. Thank you. You also testified that he was assigned to manage the calendar of events. Can you explain what the calendar of events is for the Family Court Commission?
Yeah, the calendar of events is a document that describes when people will be taking time off and how that relates to the court calendars. It's a document that uh, is available to everybody in the family division so that the clerks can look at it and make sure that their calendars, as they have scheduled, are matched up with the PTO that commissioners have provided and has been entered on the calendar of events. When calendars are to be closed, it's reflected in that calendar of events. When there are special events like conferences and such, those are all entered in the calendar of events. It's a document that really is significant in terms of coordinating many inputs, and he was assigned that job um, as um, as part of one of the assignments that I asked him to take on when he first started.
Okay. Would Commissioner Edwards have been familiar with this calendar from his previous role as the Assistant Family Court Commissioner?
Certainly, it's um, something that he would have reviewed on multiple occasions as an AFCC and understood the significance of, when you put your time in, that it's going to be reflected on that, how it
There goes
coordinates
his
with calendars that are
commentary
going to be
again.
opened or closed by court
Right.
The
clerks
suggestion is
But
in
they
each
just
case.
said he
In
gave
each
him no
calendar.
training and that the only way he knew how to
But
do the
reviewing
job
it
by
and
seeing
managing it are
somebody
different
by
things.
getting
Did
the
you
product.
give any training to Commissioner Edwards on how to manage the calendar of events?
but Ben, stop.
I assigned it to him shortly after he became the
Yep.
Because like you're saying, he's giving his argument about it, but why what I would expect to see is them showing the failures of him inputting stuff or whatever the, however they came to this conclusion. Why aren't you just showing here on this day, he missed this, he missed that, he missed, like, and that's problematic because where is it?
I
When
think,
does it come in?
right, I think it's because the commission accepts management's words at face, like high management statements at face value.
And that is the problem because like you were saying, all he's doing is saying the company line. And when you get to the other side of things, you see, when you listen to this, you think, wow, this guy is not a good employee or whatever, because of all the stuff they're preloading just by their words alone, no evidence.
Right, he's just saying his
Just
feelings. His
he's
feelings.
just saying his feelings.
Yeah.
Show me where he failed.
Right.
And then I won't say anything more about that.
Right. He's just saying his feelings, which great. I mean, I'm not saying the feelings aren't relevant. I'm just saying that's not something that we can judge off of. We get it that you didn't
Well,
like
but
him.
we don't know if it's true.
Right.
We haven't seen if it's true or not. And you could bring some actual data and artifacts to point all of this out without you even having to say it. Additionally, he made a comment that was kind of a sideswipe too. Supposedly when he was out on leave, and I know nothing about his leave or whatever he was talking about, but if he was gone, he's kind of making a slight at him that like, well, he didn't do any work when he was gone on leave, so I had to pick up the slack, like, and holding it against him. So that's an interesting kind of comment too.
Many people don't do work when they're on leave. That's true.
Deputy, in part because it's a really effective way to get a sense of the multiple layers that go into coordinating the whole operation. He had a strong understanding very quickly because he had a familiarity with it. Within a couple of days of the assignment, he developed his own processes and had his own form for the commissioners to fill out to request paid time off. I sat with him for periods of time on several days. He demonstrated my process. I answered all of his questions. He took copious notes. He developed his own form of an email that he would send to court clerks and child support services when calendars were to be closed, and he consulted with me on when he had questions.
So did you feel that he was prepared to take on management of the calendar of events?
I think he was, and he
And
was.
how did that
Yeah.
go? Was he successful in
Um,
managing it?
He was fairly successful for quite a while, and then began to have timeliness issues. Specifically
Better ideas than me.
on one occasion on March 1st of 2024, one of the commissioners requested time
Right.
off that
He
included
changed
July 9th
the
of
system.
2024.
Yep.
She had checked the court calendar when she had requested the time off, and there were no cases scheduled on that court calendar. On March 12th, she followed up with an email to him asking about the time off that she'd requested on July 9th and noting that at that point there were now cases scheduled on that calendar, which meant that he had not acted to update and requested the case that the calendar be closed, and those cases required coverage or adjournment as a matter of course. She then communicated again on March 19th, at which time he was 18 days behind on that calendar. And he said in that email that he would get back to her soon. That was that coincided with
He's reading from emails in
Exhibit
front of him.
26, which was provided,
Yeah, one of the
in which
downfalls of virtual.
Yep.
he
Got all
was
this stuff laid out.
writing an email addressing how he would support the chief's efforts to help me correct
Yep,
inappropriate
his eyes and
management, but had not at that time updated the
I
calendar.
thought I
with
heard
us.
his keyboard click too. Yep.
I'm gonna actually show you an exhibit. I think it's marked as the county's, the employer's exhibit
The
6.
exhibit Mr. Pruse was just.
But I had one
asking
more
for
thing
the
about that
display.
timeliness.
Absolutely.
At that same period of time, on March 19th, Commissioner Jason Michelot came to me to tell me, as in the head of the union, the attorneys union, that he was considering lodging a formal complaint because of the lack of timeliness in the updating the calendar was causing significant distress among the commissioners in terms of knowing when they would be off, planning vacations, planning medical appointments, and such. So,
All right, well, let's take
So
a
I guess still
pause right
asking you
here
about the
and we'll continue this into part, geez Louise, 5. All right?
This is gonna be a lot of parts. Yeah.
It's going to be a lot of parts, but we're having fun. See you soon. Thanks for
You are.
sticking
This
with
stuff is
us.
great.
All right.